Nigeria will hold general elections about 6 months away from now, but the political actions are affecting a lot of business decisions, creating uncertainty in the economy. Well, this special report takes a look at the effect of this uncertainty on the polity. Just recently, the International Monetary Fund (IMF) raised its forecast for Nigeria's growth rate in 2019 to 2.3% from its earlier projection of 1.9%, driven by improved outlook on global oil prices. The IMF notes positive events that may drive the forecast from external reserves level at approximately $47 billion to declining headline inflation at 11.61%. The improved business environment is also a positive influence on the financial institution's projection, but concerns about the 2019 elections fuel uncertainty over the outcome and impact on the economy, putting critical investment decisions on ice.
The reality is that political uncertainty is something that is common across countries. It's common over time as well. So even if you take some of the most advanced democracies like the US, pre the 2016 elections, partly because, it was such a strange campaign with the fact that they had a completely left-field candidate in Trump, and it was quite a heated one as well. There was a lot of volatility in the stock market, but also there was the economy itself reacted, but even that was sort of helped by the fact that the US economy is very sophisticated, and the lesson that tells us actually is that the level of uncertainty that we're going to see will partly depend on the strength of the incumbency and how likely it is that people think that he's going to be kicked out of office.
Businesses and investors are adopting a cautious approach to investing more money in the Nigerian economy, or even raising new money to expand their existing operations. In 2017, the stock market was the third best performing market with a total return of 43%, but it has returned minus 1.61% this year, a situation linked to the political uncertainty.
The capital market is very, very sensitive to events occurring in the socio-political and economic arena of every society. And if the political environment is conducive, of course it will be reflected in demand in the capital market.
High-yielding equity firms that would have raised funds and added to the value of the country's capital market are postponing their plans till after 2019. Companies like Dangote Cement and IHS Towers have both postponed their planned initial public offerings on both the London Stock Exchange and Nigerian Stock Exchange due to this uncertainty. IHS Towers, Africa's largest tower company, whose shareholders including Goldman Sachs Group, Wendell SA and MTN Group, has its biggest operations on the continent in Nigeria. The company is also not considering any new listing until after the 2019 elections. InterSwitch, which had also planned an IPO valued at up to $1 billion and dual listing on the LSE and NSE, has also said the process will not be completed until after the elections. That's to mention just a few companies, even as data shows that foreign portfolio investors are pulling funds at an alarming pace, particularly from equities, and it's not hard to tell why trading has ended in red in the last few months.
Ordinarily, there should be a balance between the economic plan and political plan, but being in a measuring democracy, we have not imbibed a high political culture, democratic culture in this part of the world. So compared to the advanced democracy, so you see a lot of unpalatable activities from political players because they have not really imbibed high democratic culture.
Definitely, you will not take away politics from economy. and the market is a reflection of the economy. So really, definitely, politics will always affect the politics. But if you look at the generality of how the market is going, it's oscillating with what is the reports companies are trickling in, which is a result of actually the stability of the economy over a period of time. So definitely, politics will affect economy. Economy is also part of politics.
One would have thought that the uncertainty bug is only felt on equity investment, but the real estate sector is also slowing down construction and apprehensive of new business deals. Although it's one sector that's less influenced by political spending, it's mostly affected by the general economic standing of the country and the people.
In the brick and mortar, business, when political, uncertainty happen in any country or in any place, people want to be skeptical. They want to be sure whether their investment is safe. So because of what is happening in Nigeria, a lot of investors will want to, put their investment on hold.
Aside from political uncertainty, businesses are having to deal with rising insecurity across the country, owing to rampant herdsmen attacks on farmlands that have led to hundreds of people being killed and thousands displaced.
It's going to depend on two things. One, it's going to depend on the candidate and the extent to which he or she was able to communicate their plans before the polls. Because what should happen is that, business leaders assess those intentions and, to be prudent, they build in certain scenarios to account for the possibility of that person winning.
Nigeria, Africa's largest economy, will hold presidential and governorship election between February and March next year. But the increasing fragmentation of the leading political parties means no one is certain of what shape the elections will take or what they would throw up. Yemisi Lanredo, TVC News. Yes, it's a report that I went out to talk to people about and see what it is really happening. But let's put this into perspective. But we'll be doing that after the break. I'll be joined by Mokhtar Mohammed and Ayo Akiomi here in the studio. We'll both be talking about how this is really affecting the economy and the implication of it all. We'll take a break. You're watching Business Nigeria. In 2017, we saw that the stock market was the third best performing market. But at what we have now is not so. We see many companies halting decisions on listing. Yes, we know MTN is still likely going to list, IHS Towers and all others that we have heard about. What's happening?
Well, what we had in Nigerian Stock Exchange is portfolio investors. Portfolio investors comes when the price is right and when they think they've made a lot of capital appreciation, they tend to go out of the market. They are not in the market for the long time. And that's basically what drives the market at that time. Once they see, and again, what again is affecting even the political situation is coming into play, but you need to look at the hike in interest rate in the United States of America also, which happen to be a stable economy with a good economic system that is devolved so much politics. So they tend to look for safe havens after making the returns here. So the safe havens is to go back to their own countries, and even in the UK they've hiked rate for the first time. So it's giving them more returns, even just doing trading there, just doing treasury bill or putting in their fixed income there. So I think basically that's what is really affecting the market. Then coupled with the political uncertainty, which for me the political uncertainty is not something new. We've been here before. We've seen more volatility in the political circle than what we are seeing now. Now what we are seeing is defection. The other election we saw a room like if Nigeria is going to go into anarchy, where one party was saying, look, if we lose the election, we are not going to accept the result. There's going to be mayhem, there's going to be this, but we survived that. So we've been through this road before. I just feel that we'll go through it again, hopefully, if the political actors try to look at the bigger picture, which is the interests of Nigeria. The challenge we have as a country is that we tend to mix politics into the economy, then we tend to mix politics into security. But if you look at developed economy, they try to separate politics, and they try to separate politics from the economy and security from the economy, because these are the mainstream. The whole reason of having a government in place is to provide security and empowerment. And when it comes to security, provide it. Then it comes to empowerment, it has to do with your economic policies. And what here in Africa, what we see is the economic policy that the people have, the politicians have for the people, so the citizen is what they can get now, and the citizen themselves also is what they can get from the politician now than what they can hope for the future.
All right, one would have thought that the law of fairness will work here, where, you know, the fair attitude for the citizens will be working more than what the politicians have. But yes, the IMF has forecasted and a growth for 2019, 2.3% from 1.9% that we have now. I don't know how that's going to work if there is already uncertainty in the system. But first off, let me bring in Effiong Ekop, is standing by. Fortunately, the market has been reacting to results, financial results for the half year. So Effiong, hello, what's the market, what did it close like today?
Yeah, we see the market closed in the flat, you know, indicator, 0.06%. It wasn't that bad, but it did not stay in the positive territory as we witnessed in mid-trade at 130. I tell you that a lot of things happen in the markets today. First of all, Zenith Bank brought in its half-year result and paying interim dividend of 30 kobo per share. And the investors think that's better. Again, we have a corn oil company. Its results came in late, and the market has suspended corn oil because of late submission of results. So that inflation is not yet accepted. So let me turn to Charles Fagroka, who is a dealer with Foresight Security, so that we do more discussion. Charles, welcome.
Thank you very much.
You traded very well, and we see. Let's talk about Zenith, you know, bringing results to the market. Zenith Bank has been one company that investors are highly, you know, attracted to its stuff. And with this 30 kobo interim dividend, do you think that the company is, you know, performing very well? That it's going to reward investors very well?
Yeah, of course. Zenith Bank has shown that it's a leader in its own sector. Over time, the bank has shown to give good returns to its shareholders, and in terms of efficiency and management, we'll give it to Zenith Bank. So paying 30 kobo interim dividend, I think, is a welcome development, and I think investors should get more of Zenith Bank so that they can partake.
Okay, we should tell investors that this is interim dividend. The main one will also come, because Zenith Bank is one company that pays dividend twice in a given year.
That's correct.
Now let's talk about corn oil that is being suspended on the trading floor for late submission of results to the market. That's a post-listing requirement.
Yes.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
You know, the Nigerian Stock Exchange has what we have just said, post-listing requirements. So if you are in a company that is listed on this exchange, it is expected of you as part of your activities, part of your performance. You must submit your result as at when due. And as at today, the result has not been submitted. So that was why the notice of suspension.
Okay. Well, let me say, I like that you still have some questions to ask me right now on market close. I'm ready for you.
All right, Effiong, I'll get back to you shortly, but let me talk to the guest in the studio. Yes, Ayo, IMF has forecast a 2.3% growth rate in 2019, and of course that's going to be driven by improved outlook most times on global oil prices and some other key indicators. But with what we are seeing ahead 2019, do you think this is possible? What's your take at FSDH?
Okay, thank you very much, Emerson. The forecast growth rate for Nigeria by IMF, 2.3. We think it's positive in the sense that it was an improvement over what they released in April. However, we have to put in context of the population growth rate. So if our population is growing at about 3%, given the figure released by the NBS, National Bureau of Statistics, and our economy is growing at 2.3, what you now have is negative real growth rate. So that growth rate is not sufficient to bring about inclusive growth rate, inclusive development in Nigeria. So what the government needs to do is to actually prove them wrong and then implement policy that will actually accelerate the growth to enable the country, the economy, create jobs, investors, investment activities taking place to ensure that we bring down unemployment rate that is close to 20% at the moment. A huge number of people who are supposed to be working, they are out of jobs, and we even have very weak purchasing power. So the growth rate positive, but however, is still far lower than where we should be going, given our population growth rate.
All right, Mokhtar, yes, you heard the ECOP. The market closed flat, but we saw an improved closing last week because of the financial results that some companies posted. But for how long do you think we can sustain this?
Well,
very briefly.
The market is going to respond. Is going to respond on the short time. I don't see anything major happening in the market, because any investor that wants to come to this market now must look at the long-term picture of the market, especially when we are going into a political year. The result from Zenith was good. Ordinarily, that's a result that should impact positively. But we've seen other good results, and it now impacts so positively like we thought. And I don't think this will be any different. There may be a little bit of one or two movement, but I think they're going to be a slowdown. So going forward, we need a trigger. The trigger will come. And I think the trigger will come after we've seen the primaries of the two political parties. Then again, we'll begin to look at the personalities involved and what Nigerians stand to gain from them. Then we'll see the market.
All right, let me get back to you, Effiong. Effiong, you were talking to your guest. Let's wrap it up.
Well, interestingly, we have insurance stocks doing very well today. The likes of Hallmark Insurance, Niger Insurance, Equity Assurance, all of them came top on the trading floor. Charles, why insurance, the three of them that are really comfortable, are we looking forward to anything happening there? Has there been improvement?
Yes, you will recall that their regulator, they came to the market sometime to reassure the market that they are putting strategies in place to ensure that insurance firms are doing very well, and most investors are getting to key into this insurance company. However, one most important factor that made us to see the insurance company doing well is results of liquidity. The par value rule that has been implemented gives room for a lot of liquidity in the insurance sector. That's why we are seeing most of them performing well. And I think it is good for the insurance industry.
Charles, many thanks for this. We don't have much time. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me.
Charles Fagroga is a dealer with Foresight Securities, and that's how we traded today, the first day of the week. Let's see how it will be tomorrow. Back to you, Yamisi.
Thank you, Effiong. And Effiong told us that the market closed flat at 0.06%. Well, one word each from you guys, one word each, because we have to close now. What do you think 2019 holds for Nigeria? That's the word.
I expect stability. I expect after our election, Nigeria will remain, and the investors will be positioning the economy for that.
All right, Mokhtar?
I share the same optimism with him.
All right, and I will have to thank you so much for your time, Ayo Akiomi and Mokhtar Mohammed. We appreciate your time.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.